Today we are going to be talking about something really, really phenomenal. And I have on the show Kerry Dixon, who's going to be joining me as to discuss how she went from farming to finding financial fortune. Without much ado, I'm going to bring her upstage and she's going to tell us about herself because she can do justice to that more than I can. And so, hi Kerry, how you doing? You want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Hi, Daffy. Thanks so much for having me. So I'm Australian and we live on a farm and we never used to. Actually, I was a sign writer my whole life in the city in Brisbane. And then my husband had this great idea that we would buy a farm once our kids all left home. So we jumped in with both feet and bought a farm. And then, that's where I am now. But as you mentioned, I went from farming to now a full-time artist instead, so changed career path again and built myself a six-figure business with my art. So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
Wow, awesome. That's really, really interesting of how that you were once into farming and now you're doing some creative activity with art, and that's something that you've always had in you. So how did you keep that creative flame burning even when you were in what I would call a different path during that period of your life?
Yeah, definitely. When we did move to the farm, when my husband came up with this great idea, I said to him, I'd always done art as a hobby, essentially, because I've always had a full-time job. So art was always, I think most of us, when we do art, especially women, we do it in our spare time. So it is a hobby. We don't really think of it becoming a career. But I did say to him, if we do this farm thing, I want an art studio. I was sick of working at the kitchen bench, essentially. So I wanted my own little space so that I could take my art a bit more seriously. But once we bought the farm, I love animals, so I went wholeheartedly into the farming side, and we got sheep and we got cattle, and I bought 100 chickens. I got ducks as well, actually. And I went right in with the farming. I thought, yep, we're going to live off the land, produce our own fruit and vegetables. I was selling eggs at the market. So the art got sort of forgotten about a bit then. But I found how it's very hard to be a farmer. We don't have enough land. So here in Australia, we have 180 acres. That's how we work in. But in this area, to actually live and make an income on farming with cattle and that, you would need 1,000 acres essentially. And I just found I wasn't good at it. Mother Nature hated me essentially. So that's when I thought, I'm spending all this time and hours, especially on the chickens, trying to sell the eggs and that. You have all these laws you've got to go through and all this stuff. It's a nightmare. And I thought, this is crazy. I was actually working my butt off and all I could do was make enough money to cover their feed. So I wasn't actually making any profit at all. So we were sort of going backwards. And that's when I thought, well, hang on, let's do the art, because that I might be able to, sell some work and make a little bit of income. So I gave away all my chickens and went and approached the local art society and got myself involved in what was happening around my area. And, and then they asked me to teach. And that was when I thought, oh, okay, why not? I've never taught anyone in my life. But that was sort of the first stepping stone to where I am now. So, yeah.
Wow. So what would you say to someone who has that gift in them and it feels like that gift is lost because it has been buried for so long while they ventured into some other path or while life took them into something different? What would you say to that kind of person who probably doesn't even know or doesn't even think they could ever find their way back to their dreams anymore. What do you have to say to them, and what do you think you have experienced that can inspire them to keep on keeping on?
Yeah, definitely. I think all creatives, you have this nagging little thing. If you don't create, it does come back to you. Like, you might think, oh, I haven't done it for years, I've forgotten how to do it, but it's not like that. You'll always have this little niggling thing saying, I must, I must draw something, or I must create something. And it will come back. And I found the best way for me was to involve myself in a creative space. So I live in a small area, like a rural sort of regional town, but pretty much everywhere has other artists or other creative people. So I went straight to my local arts society, and I'm still 45-minute drive to get to my local art society, so it's still a fair way from me. But by doing that and getting involved in that, and they sort of will let you know what's happening, and then you sort of start to go to other people's art openings, or maybe do a workshop, but you'll start to get to know other people that are creative as well. And I feel like having that, just having other friends and new people you'll meet that are in that same space as you, and they create, and because it can be quite isolating, and being an artist, you're very much in your own head. Most of us are introverted, but so it's a big step to put yourself out there, but I do think that's how you get inspired and get back into it. So I would go and find my local art society, and then I would also see what workshops are around. If someone's teaching an art class that interests you, then I would sign up, and just being involved, that will get you back inspired. I reckon that's probably the best way if you haven't done anything for years.
Awesome. So, what would you say about the financial aspect of one's creativity? Because it's good to venture into a creative endeavor, but most times it makes more sense when you can find some profit while doing that, and that's something you have been able to experience in your journey. So what do you have to say about people who are unable to experience that financial explosion or that financial breakthrough that they feel they could get, but because probably they have become rusty, or they have left the path for a while, it feels like almost an uphill task to gain any financial return from doing that activity, and so they just give up all along, or just give up again when they try to think about the idea of going back. What do you have to say about that situation?
Yeah, definitely. I know, like, for some of us, we need to make money, obviously. And as an artist, that can be hard because you feel like everyone's an artist, everyone's trying to sell something. So first of all, above anything, get good at what you do. Okay, so whatever medium you've chosen or whatever subject, really practice your skills and get good at it, and start to develop a style that is a bit unique to you, okay? Because you want it makes it easier to sell or approach a gallery or something if you have your own style. And so first of all, you've got to get good at it. But if you feel like you are really, you've sort of not we never master, we're always learning, but if you feel like your art is good, then I would try and diversify. That's the first thing. Don't think that you've just got to make one painting and sell that painting. Okay, there's so many other ways. I think as an artist, you have to have different forms of income. So for me, teaching is a lot. But I teach I do one-day workshops every few months. I teach a regular fortnightly art class. This is all in person. I do an art retreat 3 times a year. But then I also have my online art membership, which again is teaching. but it's online. But then there's also, you've got your original painting. You then could make prints out of it. You could set up a shop online, a print-on-demand companies. There's quite a lot out there if you look up print-on-demand. And you set your art onto like mugs and phone cases and tote bags and aprons and pillows, and there's just a million things you can put your art on. So you could diversify that way and then sell that or prints. But yeah, there's just a lot of different things, but you need to make sure you've got your art is up to scratch. But also in this day and age, it's all about building a following as well, I suppose. So you would need to concentrate on first getting your art great, then start to build some sort of a following, because people won't buy your work if they don't know it's there to buy, essentially. I know a lot of artists, they start to build a following, but they forget to just straight out say, this is for sale, or like they'll share with family and friends, but tell them it is for sale, because a lot of people forget to mention that bit. And but yeah, the main thing would be for me, I think, to really try and build some money as an artist, you've got to think of diversifying and not just saying, I've painted this painting, the old way you had to have a gallery represent you, whereas that's sort of not something that has to happen now. It's really up to you how much you put into it. And I know marketing isn't a fun word for artists, but yeah, that's what it's all about, really, because you could be a brilliant artist and not good at marketing yourself and not sell anything, or you could be a pretty mediocre artist but be great at marketing and you could be selling out. So yeah, it all comes to that.
Wow, you made a very good point there, because most creatives, whether they be creators, authors, what have you, they often ignore the selling part of their art, the marketing part of their art or craft, and focus on the creative or creation part. So you see an author who spends weeks, months, and years writing a book and never spends a day thinking about, how do I market? How do I understand the market better? Or you see a creator who is developing a product but spends lots of time and resources developing that product and never talks to the market, never has conversations with the market to even figure out if they want or need what they're trying to create. And so they shut themselves out of the market. They go into the lab, create something for themselves, obviously, and then they go into the marketplace and they say, hey, I made this for you. And then the marketplace is so smart. So people in the marketplace being so smart, they'll look at what such a person created and be like, well, I don't want that. That does not look like it's for me. And they'll be like, but it's for you. I created it for you. So they try to get people to desire what they don't want, don't need, and can't afford. And so that's a big problem I've seen in the creative spaces around the world and across different industries and geographies. Creators not spending as much time as they spend in creating, in marketing, in curating conversations, and in understanding the pain and the needs of the people that they are trying to serve. And so they end up just serving themselves and serving their egos and doing what they want to do and not what people want to do. So that's such a very valid point. And what do you think, how did you overcome this problem that we just talked about in your own personal journey? Being that you did not have a marketing background, how did you turn your art and your craft to something that people wanted and that has now become, a financial flow for you?
I think I've learnt as I've gone, because like you said, I didn't have a marketing background at all. So I've got online, done a lot of free sort of online stuff, but learnt as I've gone that people will buy from you if they know you a lot easier. And also, so sort of building that community and being approachable, and just people want to get to know you, to trust you, I suppose. and that's when they will purchase from you a lot easier. If you're not just all of a sudden you pop up in front of them and say, like you said, here, I want you to buy this, you haven't built any trust between them. So yeah, I've learned through doing different courses online, but also with my online membership, a lot of my students, they've been with me for 3 years now, because I was once told people will come for the lessons, but they'll stay for the community. And it's so true. And that is what I've learned. I have students now, anything I put for sale, like my art retreats, bang, they'll join up, they'll sign up. Anything I do, they'll sign up or they'll purchase it, because they just know and trust me. I talk to them all the time. It's like they're friends, essentially. So they want to support me all the time. And yeah, I think that's something you've really got to nurture and build, and that takes time. So yeah, that's what I was saying.
How long
Really,
did it take you?
3 years I've had the membership going for. And now, like I said to you, I'm earning 6 figures over the last year to 2 years, and it's still growing. But yeah, it didn't start off that way. I think my first year was 30,000. But that's it. It's just because if you're running like a membership, the main point is having people stay in it. Okay, so the longer they stay in it, it's a continual payment, essentially. So but by building up that rapport with them, they don't want to leave because they just love hanging out. And I think it's the same even just on social media, like say Instagram, which is a great place for artists. If you get on there and show your face and tell them a bit about you, let them see some behind the scenes, they want to know you. They don't want to just buy from you. But the minute they get to know you and they feel like they know you well, then the minute you then do release something, you've got a much better chance of them purchasing. So, yeah.
Great. So, how did you manage your personal associations and your personal relationship when you were pivoting from farming to, what you're doing now? Particularly your spouse, how did you get him to get on the same boat with you around the idea of you leaving that and moving on? Because I think this is also something that holds many people back, the fear of not getting support from their loved ones and whatnot. So how did you cope with that, and how did you deal with that?
Yeah, definitely. My husband, because I think he could see I was putting in so many hours with these chickens and animals. And so he was very supportive of me changing tactics, because he knew I wasn't making any money at all. So, and he does all the cattle work and the fencing and the weed spraying and all of that. So he's good in that way. He is very supportive. But I must say, he's not interested in my art in any way, because I'll start talking to him about, art stuff, and because he doesn't really follow it, you can see it's not really his thing. But so I don't have him to, talk to about ideas and stuff. Okay, so that's where it is very important, I think, to have that community of other people that are, like-minded. So if you, like, my husband's supportive he's happy for me to do what I'm doing, but I suppose he's not supportive in having that conversation where I can say, I'm thinking of doing this series of paintings, what do you think? Or I'm using this new colour, or, so that's where I need art friends that can bounce ideas off with. So.
Yeah, and that's a very valuable point you made, because there are many creatives who have spouses that do not share in their interest and do not even have any concern. But it doesn't necessarily mean they don't mean well for them. So having that understanding and understanding the delicate balance between having a spouse that doesn't care or is not interested, but wishes you well, and having one that is, your number one fan, just understanding that these things are there, but you shouldn't allow it to deter you is very fundamental. And I like the way you've been able to establish that understanding right from the get go, and you've been able to accommodate it and make up for that
Yeah.
need that you have.
Yeah.
So, what do you have to say to other people who are buried their dreams because they feel unsupported by their loved ones? It could be a spouse, it could be a friend, a family, a mother or a father. What do you have to say to such a person?
Yeah. I think if your family's not supportive, which might, like I said, mine all are quite happy with me doing this, and as long as you don't make it your whole entire life, make sure you do set time to spend with your family. So there is a balance there. If I just locked myself away in my art studio 24 hours a day, my husband would probably say, but because I make sure, I only do art certain times. But yeah, if your family or husband isn't supportive of your art, then you need to go and find someone who is, I suppose. You're bound to have a friend that will support you. But if not, then yeah, your local art societies, like I said, they're all like you. They're all people, they're from beginners right through to more advanced, and they just love their art. And I know it's, like I said, it can be a bit nerve-wracking to put yourself out there and go along if you're introverted, but it's 100% the best place, and you'll be so inspired by just talking to other artists. Because they get you, they understand you. And I think that's the same for any type of creativity as well. Like if you're an author or a musician, you still should involve yourself in your local area just to get inspiration from other people. If, you're not getting it at home, then go and find someone who does.
Wow, that's great. So, do you have anything to say to those who are listening to us out there that has really kept you going, and what has been the biggest challenge in your journey so far?
For me, the art's not the challenge at all, because we all love painting and doing all that. It's the marketing. It is the biggest challenge for sure if you're trying to make money from your art. So that's where I think, like I said earlier, just learning, especially for as you get older, the technology can be a bit tricky. So just learning to market, learning social media can be a drag, but, you've got to learn it. You've got to look at it as part of being an artist, is part of it. So you can't just spend 10 hours a day painting, maybe do 8 hours a day. Or I mean, that's too many, but say 8 hours a day. But think of it, your marketing side is part of your job. So put time aside to do that as well. But that's definitely been the biggest challenge to building my business, is learning that side for sure. And doing things scared, that's always a challenge. I go live on Facebook, and I've been doing that now for nearly 2 years, and I still get nervous every time I press go live. But I think the only way to grow is to do things scared. So that's what I was saying. Just put yourself out there, small steps, and that's a challenge for introverted people, 100% as well. So, but yeah, you've got to do it. You'll grow if you do it. So.
Wow, that's phenomenal. And before I let you go, I have one more question for you. What do you describe creativity as? What does creativity mean to you? Because this podcast tries to help people understand the concept of creativity by leveraging the experiences of people across different fields and different walks of life. So what's your perspective on the subject of creativity?
Yeah, well, for me, creativity is, like I said, there's so many different creative people, but for me, it's art and drawing and painting. So, and I think that the whole, it's just the mental health side of it is what I think creativity is all about, because when you sort of go off and you get into, they call it a creative flow, and it's where you sort of lose track of time and you're just focused on what you're creating and you're having fun. You don't care about the outcome, essentially. You're just, playing around, exploring, trying new things. Or you could be working in detail work. It depends what you do. But getting into that creative flow, it's what I think all artists crave, or all creative people crave, is to get into that headspace. And that's when all your worries, like if you have back pain, it goes away. If you have a lot of, you might have experienced a loss, you can forget about it for a while and just relax your mind. And that's what creativity does. And that's what I think is the thing that a creative person always craves to do. So to me, creativity is what it releases you and relaxes you. And it's just joyful and fun.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. And I think this will be a good place to call our conversation for today. I want to say thank you for taking our time to come on the show and to share your journey with us, share your experiences and perspectives with us. I believe you on the other side, you found some value in this, you found some inspiration in this of how she went from farming to finding financial fortune by deploying her creativity and allowing her gifts, skills and talents to gain expression regardless of the situation she was in. I hope that inspires you to get your creativity cranking again, for those of you who have actually buried your creativity for some reason, and for those who have started but stopped, or who are on the journey but getting discouraged. This is your signal to stay at it. This is your signal to cash out on your creativity and turn it to financial fortune. I'll leave it there for now, and I'll see you on our next episode. Until then, have a good one, and bye-bye.
Thanks, Daffy. Bye.